15 years, one digital agency, and over 20 podcast episodes later, from newsrooms in Pennsylvania to the front line of digital marketing, today's guest has turned career burnout into a career empire. He's not just another voice in the podcasting world. He's a podcasting coach, an SEO specialist, and a tech savvy entrepreneur who helps others find their voice while growing his own digital marketing agency. Whether he's working with clients, creating content, or walking his Airedoodle named Olive, this founder proves that reinvention is not only possible, it's powerful. Welcome to another episode of Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. In this episode, I talk to Seth, podcaster, digital marketer, former journalist, techie, and an entrepreneur. So I hope you enjoy the show. Seth, welcome to the show.
Wow. How can I ever beat that? That's all. What an intro, buddy. That's awesome. Thank you. I'm honored.
Here we go. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you would like to share with our audience?
Just keep going. Literally, it's not attributable to anybody, but it's like keep your head down and just keep going. I mean, failure is natural. I would say failure is one of those things that let me rephrase that. Failing is natural. You're going to fail a bunch of times before you figure it out. Failure is when you give up and don't keep going. And I think that's really what the thing is that everyone's going to fail at some point at something. It's how you get up and dust yourself off and keep on going. So,
Indeed. And since we have been connected, we have chatted on LinkedIn, we have emailed each other, I've learned a little bit about you. But for our guest, I would like to know more about you as a person. And I want our guest also to understand more about who you are. Can you take us back to your childhood? Can you take us back to your, early days and share some insights from there, which tells our listener that why Seth is what he is right now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I was born in, I don't have to go that far back, but product of a single mother. Dad was very present in my life, but my mom raised me. In high school, I started the school paper. Everyone knew I was going to be a journalist before I did. I wanted to go into marketing and be an ad man, be like the Mad Men people. Went to University of Delaware, decided that I didn't want to do business school. And at that point, digital marketing wasn't a thing. So I went into journalism to get, to show that I could write. Got hooked on journalism there when I talked to now retired former President Biden on the phone. He was a senator at that time, and got hooked on the whole idea of being like Woodward and Bernstein, the Cub reporter, uncovering dirt and figuring stuff out. Left university, became a Cub reporter for 6 years, worked for numerous publications in the Pennsylvania, New Jersey area here in the States. Massive burnout after a while, decided like this wasn't for me. I lived it, I enjoyed it. But this whole time I've been doing web design on the side. And of course, everyone's like, his next act is going to be, he's going to be a digital marketer. Everyone knew my steps before I did. And so then I opened up my business in 2008. Best time to start a business at the height of a global recession and banking crisis. Yeah. Who's going to hire me? So I figured I'd start a business to kind of get the credentials to get the job. Fast forward 17, 20 years, I'm still doing the digital marketing. I'm still trucking along on that. And then in 2010, I had been listening to podcasts since 2005, since they first started. Leo Laporte with the Twit Network, Adam Curry with Daily Source Code, all those old hats at it. 2010 came around, I was like, I want to do this. And what's kind of funny is my editor-in-chief, when I left the journalism world, is like, you should go into radio. And I'm like, with this voice? And he's like, yeah, you're probably going to go into radio at some point. Well, I didn't go into radio, but I went into podcasting. And like I said, everyone knew my step before I did. It was just very interesting how my course is kind of predefined. I mean, so I'm doing, I've been podcasting for 15 plus years. about a year and a half ago, I decided that, hey, I know enough about podcasting. I can start teaching people how to be better guests on podcasts and better presenters on podcasts, and better hosts, which is the same term as presenter, and how to do it the right way so that you don't fizzle out. I mean, you haven't fizzled out. You're going on what, season 11 of this show or something crazy number?
Yeah, 12 now.
Oh wow, jeez. It's like I'm in season 4 of Digital Marketing Dive, and I'm on the first season, but like 280 episodes into Entrepreneur's Enigma, which is my entrepreneurship podcast. So I'm doing all that. I'm still writing a weekly newsletter called Marketing Junto, and so I'm all over the place. I do a lot of stuff in my 24 hours a day.
I can totally get that. And this is one of the reasons why I got in touch with the founder of Podmatch, and then we became friends. And now I'm consistently trying to pitch him and my idea of creating a CRM for only podcasters.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm always looking for partners and people who understand the pain of effort we put into even record one, podcast episode. And
I have a Notion dashboard. I have a Notion database that I put everybody in.
Yeah,
but it's manual. It's tough. Things get missed.
Yeah, indeed. Thanks, Seth, for really cool introduction for listeners. Let's talk a little bit about your podcasting journey, your marketing journey, your SEO journey, because this is a podcast about founders, right? And founders are very inclined or very focused on their products. They don't really care about market that much. I mean, if it's a seasoned founder, they have done a couple of exits, then they have better understanding of it. But then first time founders are not really the people who care about marketing at first glance when they jump into the space. If we say that you have an opportunity, you went to Egypt, you found this genie lamp, right? You rubbed it and a genie comes out. But the genie doesn't ask you for 3 wishes. The genie says that you have only wish, and which is, I can send you back to your 20s.
Oh.
Right? All your energy back, all your testosterone back, everything, the fit body and long hairs back.
Yeah, long hair, because I don't have hair.
Yeah. So what would you do differently after learning 15, 20 years in the industry to do the same what you have done today, and to make sure that you have the maximum impact and ditch all the, well, not ditch, but sort of like not mitigate the risks of doing the mistakes?
I would definitely go take some business classes.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily major in business. I wouldn't avoid the business school as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's some value in some, basic business acumen that instead I had to learn on my own.
Yeah.
And there's literally 2 versions of Goldstein Media. There's version 1, pre-child, and that was me literally flying by the seat of my pants, figuring out the business world, not knowing what the heck I'm doing, learning a lot while I was doing it, but making lots of mistakes. Son was born, had some complications at birth. He's fine now. Got a job for about a year and a half while still running my business at a pharmaceutical company called Merck. I mean, everyone knows Merck, and but they're based out by me in the Philadelphia area, doing their social media for them. Learned a lot about business that way, and how much I didn't like corporate. So I was like, all right, I'm going back to Goldstein Media full time after about a year and a half, and then version 2 of Goldstein Media went a lot smoother because I had some business acumen after that point. Like, the skills I needed to learn, I had to learn by trial by fire in corporate when I didn't necessarily have that business acumen from schooling. So that's how I would change. I would say take some business classes if you can. Basic marketing classes, basic business administration classes. That's always helpful. Even if you're not going to major in business, it's good to have some background, some training.
Great stuff. Great stuff. So let's talk about your story. Where did the story actually begin? Where did the story of Goldstein Media and Podcast Mastery started happening? Or let me rephrase this question. When Seth got this wish from the genie, he went back. What was the turning point after that?
There were so many turning points. I think each stage, each career was a different turning point. One
Mhm.
was burnout, and it was like I can't do the journalism thing anymore. But I
Mhm.
enjoy it. I still enjoy, wish I miss it to an extent. Then I have my PTSD kicks in, and I'm like, yeah, I don't miss it that much.
Mhm.
I mean, and then going into web design and digital marketing and SEO, I would have loved at that point, 2008. I feel like I could have gone back and gotten, because when I went to school and I went to Delaware, University of Delaware in 2000. Digital marketing didn't exist. The
Mhm.
term that was kind of just starting to come out. .com bubble starting to burst, and I wish I went back and got some more education. I mean, I did. I'm self-trained. I'm self-taught. It's a lot of what digital marketers of my age in the 40s are. Older millennials are. They're self-trained. But I wish I went back and that was a turning point. Was going to Merck for about a year and a half to learn how to do corporate marketing and corporate social media.
Mhm.
And then the turning point was I hate corporate with a passion. That's the next turning point. And I was like, I want to go back to doing my own thing. And then realizing
Mhm.
that I like podcasting and I can help people. That was the last turning point, I think.
Cool. So first one was burnout, then you not started liking corporate matcha, and then the last one you said that you wanted to help people.
With podcasting, yeah, I think that a lot of people want to. Now everyone and their grandmother wants to get into podcasting,
Yeah.
but they're never sure how to quite get started. They want to be on the guesting side. Do they want to be on the host side, or do they want to do
Mhm.
both? And then how to
Mhm.
go about doing that the right way.
So let's talk about podcasting world then. Would you be able to share some stats or some forecasts with our listeners that why do you think podcasting is important and why should every founder at least one side of the podcasting they should understand it, learn it, and then
Mm-hmm.
potentially have a go with it?
Okay, I mean, not everyone is going to be Joe Rogan. No one's going to be Joe Rogan or Mel Robbins or any of these like the top 1%. You're not going to be one because they came like Joe Rogan started with Fear Factor. Then he's a
Mm,
UFC announcer. I mean, he
mm,
came with the audience, so of course he's going to be top of the barrel. Mel Robbins was I think a therapist, and had a TV show, and people know her. She's a name brand. So I always tell people like you can be the top. I'm in the top 3% of podcasts according to
mm,
Listen Notes. Whatever, I don't get their whole algorithm, but whatever. I'm in the top 3% of podcasts. But when you think of podcasts, there's 4 million podcasts out there. Of that, around 300,000 of them are about active. Of
mm,
that, there's probably 150,000. These are kind of rough numbers. They're established, which means that they're 2 years going on. They're going on 2 years or more, or they have 100 plus episodes, or they're
mm.
both. And that's some arbitrary number that someone came up with. So it's all hearsay. But like
Yeah.
ultimately, people are seeing that there's a way that people are making money, not necessarily directly through podcasting, but they're making it through the branding of themselves as a podcaster for their business or for
Mm,
their speaking reels and stuff like that. They're on the podcast guesting side, you can make a living by doing podcast guesting because you're not making it from the guesting per se, but you're using it as a brand exercise to make yourself a subject matter expert. It's me.
mm. I mean, this I can relate to it completely because when I started a couple of years back, it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, there is this funnel thing. You have to educate people, but then you have to reach out to them to figure out,
Lots of outreach.
yeah, the outreach. That's the difficult part. Then you have to filter them up because not everybody is suitable for your podcast. So it takes quite a lot of time, takes quite a lot of effort, sometimes money also, because, when I started, I had a phone. sitting in a coffee shop with
Oh,
another
wow.
guy,
Yeah.
and in Shoreditch, and I literally bought him a americano, and we sat down on a table, and then we talked. It
But you
was
got to
the
start somewhere, though. You
yeah.
have to just get started, and then you improve as you go. I always say, like, just get the first episode out, and it's going to
Mm,
suck. First episode of anyone's podcast is going to suck. I would say the first podcast of every season is going to suck because you take a break for a little bit, you come back, and you're a little rusty. You got to kind of get back into the flow, but don't not publish them. Because remember, we're not National Public Radio. We're not the
mm,
BBC. We're not like public. We're not public radio. We're not trying to be radio. We're trying to have a conversation, have a good time, and people are listening to this show right now. Listen to Ash and Seth talk about how Seth got a start. They feel like they're a fly on the wall at a bar, chit chatting. Only they can hear better because they're not at a bar chit chatting.
mm.
So.
Indeed. So, what sort of advice you have for a new podcaster who are starting up? Let's talk from the top of the funnel. Let's talk about where do they should reach out or do their outbound marketing or get the guests.
Before they
Let's
even
talk
do
about
that,
yeah.
they need to figure out their format.
Okay.
So they need to figure out, are they going to be a pontification podcast where they're the only ones that are just talking, sharing their knowledge? Are they going to be a one-person host with a guest? Are they going to have a co-host with a guest? Are they just going to have a co-host without a guest and just kind of chewing the fat together and having a conversation every week?
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, Digital Marketing Dive used to be a co-hosted podcast with a guest. And it used to be weekly. Now for season 4, it's monthly, and it's me with a co-host. We talk about a topic because we're both marketers, and we don't have a guest. It's just us sharing our knowledge, using it to brand us as marketers, us as something.
Yeah.
And not highlighting it. Because then Entrepreneurs Enigma on the other side is me as the host interviewing a guest, which is a lot easier than trying to schedule, 3 people, myself and the co-host and the guest. That was a lot. So I and don't be afraid to iterate on the process. Just because you start off one way doesn't mean it has to continue that way. Entrepreneurs Enigma was a pontification podcast. It was me just talking to the wind during the pandemic about my journey. Then after 11 episodes, I'm like, no one cares after the first episode. No one needs to hear me talking about the journey over and over and over again. So I was like, let me go back to my roots. Let me bring other entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs on this show and talk to them about their journey. And then it's been going on for 280 episodes, and I'm like, what? 4 or 5 years doing this podcast. Whoa, jeez, I didn't even know it was that long.
Yeah. So first step is figuring out your niche. How do you want to do that? What sort of space you want to do the podcast, and you want to do it by just yourself sharing your knowledge, or you want to invite guests or not, things like that.
Yes.
What's the second step?
Then it's actually doing it. It's kind of like, all right, you have your plan, you're going to put it out weekly, you're going to put it out monthly, you're going to put it out twice a week, you're going to put it out fortnightly. I don't even know what fortnightly means, but like something like, I think it's every 3 weeks or something like that. But like, you're going to put it out, you have your show format. Now you got to reach out to the people. If you're going to do if you're going to do an interview show, you just got to start reaching out to people. Something like Podmatch is a great tool for that. It's like $6 a month if you're not doing on the guesting side. If you're not on the guesting side trying to be a guest, I think it's like $6 a month. There's something to kind of vet you to make sure that you're the real deal. And then I think you get, 3 or 4 outreaches every 6 hours or something like that. The algorithm pairs you with people and stuff like that. And you can skip, you can message, all that stuff. Love what Alex Sanfilippo is doing over there. And then, on the flip side, you can be a guest on there and pay a little bit more and more features and stuff like that. I mean, but it's really their outreach that you really have to work on, is reaching out and saying, hey, I'd love to have you on the podcast. And don't be afraid to be rejected, because most people won't reject you because they like to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to talk about themselves, even if they're introverts.
Definitely. And why would they reach out to you if they don't want to talk to you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And on the guesting side, I tell people, don't be icky. Don't be a goofball. Like, reach out once. Don't reach out on 5 different email addresses that you have for the person. find the one that they're using for the podcast and reach out to them that way. I have PR firms reaching out to me on my Goldstein email address, that's an immediate delete, and my Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast email address, instant delete. Because I'm like, if you want to get my attention, fine. I check those emails constantly. You don't have to spam me on both sides. Find the right email for the person and send them a request. And I have a 99-1 rule, 99%, 1% rule as a podcaster. If you're a PR firm pitching someone, you have 99% chance of saying get lost, go kick bricks. Because I want, and then you have a 1% chance you might intrigue me and I might ask to meet the person. That flips on its head when you're the guest pitching me directly. You're 99% chance of actually talking to me at least about getting on the show. And there's a 1% chance you're just not the right fit. Like if you're a financial advisor, I've already interviewed plenty of financial advisors. I don't need another one. So I'm probably not going to have you on the show.
Got it.
That's that 1% for if you're self-pitch. So I'm very big on self-pitching.
That's a really interesting one. 99 ratio, 1%. I'll note it down. That's really cool. So okay, that's good. So we find out the niche. We planned out how it's going to be bi-weekly, how long it's going to be. If you have guests, then reach out to them. Podmatch is one of the platform. Is there any other platform you recommend other than Podmatch?
Podmatch is the best, honestly. I mean, there's others. There's Podpitch. I've tried them. Alex is just, I think, cornered the market and has figured it out. I really like on a Podmatch, it's great. I love it. I put all my clients on it. I said, get on there. That's a good place to learn how to pitch correctly. Because if they pair you up. I mean, there's another good way to do it is go find people on LinkedIn and that you want to have. I mean, if you want them to be your guest on your show, a lot of times you can't just build it and hope that they come. You have to do some outreach and ask people to be on your show as well. And in that case, I would say go on LinkedIn, find people that you want to talk to, that you don't have any other reason to talk to other than invite them on your show. It's a great way to meet people that, could be potential business partners or clients and stuff like that. Don't pitch them on your service. Pitch them and say, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's have you on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
So Entrepreneurs Enigma started. I want to talk to some big name people. I've talked to Guy Kawasaki on my show. Because I talked to his friend who said, hey, do you have Guy Kawasaki on the show? I'm like, sure. I wanted to talk to his friend because his friend was interesting because he's doing an app that does autocomplete with key commands. So and one thing trickled to another. It's very interesting.
That's really cool. I would love to have it. I had Matthew Diggs on my show.
Ooh.
Yeah. The way I did it is he had a book release. I went there and just, shameless guy. Right.
Hey, when they have something to pitch, they're going to say, sure, I'll come on. Absolutely. Can't hurt.
Yeah.
Anyone who's an author or a person who wrote a book recently is going to be on the show. They're going to say, sure. I always ask, hey, can you send me your ebook or can you send me the book in the mail and read some of it before you get on the show so you can ask some questions about the book. If they don't say it, there's like, oh, you can buy it. Having on my show, you can spare a book.
Yeah, that's true. And you mentioned about the Podmatch costing. I know the costing, but just for the benefit of our listeners, the host pays around $6 a month. How much is the guest pays?
I think the guest is like 20 for this,
28,
20 or 30 for the base.
30
because that's where I just had Alex on my podcast. He's coming out next week, which is not sure this is coming out. Time of recording, Alex Sanfilippo is coming out on Entrepreneurs Enigma next week. Most likely this will have passed. So then go check out Entrepreneurs Enigma, and there'll be an interview with Alex on the show.
Got it. Perfect. Would you recommend him for me?
Oh, absolutely. He's a great guy. I'll definitely say go talk to Ash. Absolutely. He's fantastic. He's a great guy.
He is amazing. I'm gonna meet him 21st in London. Ooh. So if I find him live, I'm gonna literally take his interview on the spot in the event. I'll go with my mic and everything. But then definitely I'll try to get him on the show.
If you want me to point, say go talk to Ash. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So you found out the niche, found out the plan, found out the platforms where we can get the guest. What's the next step in the funnel?
Is doing the recordings.
Doing the recording.
You
Yeah,
refine the
exactly.
service that you like to do the recordings. Like we're on StreamYard here. I use Squadcast.
Yeah.
You can use Riverside. You can use Zoom, honestly, just to get started.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
recommend it because it doesn't give you both sides of the recording. It doesn't merge them for you. It's not as fancy, but like if you want to do video or you want to have the audio, it's perfect. Zoom is perfect for audio, in my
Yeah.
opinion. But there's a service called Clean Feed where you actually don't see the person. It's literally audio completely.
Mm.
And that gives you a
Mm.
really high quality audio feed. That's great. I mean, there's a bunch of tools out there. Just try them. And if one doesn't work to your liking, find another one.
Find another
Never
one.
never start off with the annual plan if you can help it.
Yeah.
It may save you some money to get the annually, to pay for it annually. Do it month to month because you're not going to sure which platform you're going to stick with.
Definitely. I couldn't recommend that more because we have, I don't know, 50 subscription already right now. You have ChatGPT, you have
absolutely.
paid Google Drive, you have paid OneDrive, you have Netflix, you have Prime for the
Pay
delivery.
this, pay that, and stuff that's paid that you don't even know about. Yeah.
There are some which we
It's
don't
crazy.
even know about. It's crazy, yeah. And the last piece of the puzzle, which is like, I do it for hobby because I love talking to interesting people. But there are some
Yeah.
people who come to me. There must be hundreds and hundreds of people coming to you in the training, in the
Yeah.
mastery course, asking about like, hey, Seth, how do we make money doing podcasting? I mean, obviously, to
Well, you
get
don't
a
make
lot
money.
of,
You don't make money doing podcasting. You
yeah.
make podcasts and on the on the auxiliary, on the ancillary sides. You do it for
Mm,
a brand exercise. You do it to talk about your business. You do it to talk to interesting people who might want to be your clients. You do it as an outreach exercise. Very few people will make more than a few $100 a month doing podcasting. Like
mm,
I'm on a network and I might make every 3 months $300
mm,
on because of the ads.
mm.
So that's great. I mean, $300, yay!
Yeah.
But I can't survive on $300
No.
in 3 months. No, $100 a month. No, I can't survive on that. It's a nice little add additional revenue stream for a little bit, but you're not gonna be the Joe Rogan who's making big sponsorship deals. If you do, fantastic. But you're not Gary Vee. You're not Joe Rogan. You're not Mel Robbins, who have built-in audiences already. Like Gary
Mm,
Vee is another example. He came in because he started with Wine Library TV and
mm,
moved into the marketing space, brought that whole audience over.
mm.
He's a known quantity.
Yeah. Is there a way? I mean, I understand that it's not possible blank with a podcast, but what do you teach your in your mastery podcast mastery class to the podcasters or the people who would like to, um, take it as a professional full-time career thing? Is there a way to do that, or
It's an
it's
uphill
not?
battle. It's an uphill battle. Like
Mhm.
you can get on a network. It's gonna be a slog to go that route.
Mm.
If you have a built-in audience, you are on the radio at some point. You can say, "Hey, I have a podcast now," but really, it's not ever going to be a full-time job.
Yeah.
It isn't. I mean, there's very few people out there that have do it full-time. It might be a side hustle,
Hmm.
but doing it full-time, I don't see it being a full-time gig for most people.
Yeah. Have you ever heard about Diary of CEO?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he's a CEO
Yeah.
who just so happens to have a podcast.
Yeah.
That's the
He,
thing, and he's making
yeah.
money because he has a built-in audience from him
He
being a CEO and having that brand exercise done already.
actually, when he was, I think, 20-year old, he wasn't actually a CEO. He had just this idea, and then he reached out to somebody who invested in his podcast, and then he became one of the biggest from UK. So now he interviews like
But that
Ogilvy, a
is so
CEO.
far in between.
Yeah.
Getting someone who's going to invest, see that, throw money at it, especially in
Mm.
this economy. I mean, if it happens, fantastic, good for you. I'm proud of you. But
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't like to set expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And we have to be realistic around it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, great. So we have discussed about how you start, how you plan it, record it, publish it, etc., etc. Let's talk the other spectrum of the
The guesting
podcasting,
side, the fun side.
guesting side of it, which is,
Mhm.
I think, quite important in founders' life. So when you start developing your product, raising funds, you need to make sure that you have this kind of like um, viral traction around, not
Yeah,
just around your product, but also around your an individual
right,
image.
Joe. Absolutely. You need to have the brand when you're starting something up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's the different steps for founders to go through that journey then?
I would say start off with a bio. Write
Mm-hmm.
down, be as gloaty as possible. Talk about why you should be on that person's podcast.
Mm,
Pick a podcast that, why you want to be on Joe Rogan or whatever, like why you are the person that they want to talk to.
mm,
You know, clean it up, put it into media kit, into a document with your headshots, build out that media kit first, and then work on the pitch email, which can be formulaic to a point, but at the very top, customize it to every single one. And you can
mhm.
do that relatively quick and get them out to people within, a 5 or 6 an hour. You can probably get them out. But I also
Mm,
suggest always listen to at least 1 or 2 episodes of the show that you want to be on so you can talk to it in your email. Don't
mm.
just read the show notes and fudge it, for lack of a
Yeah,
better word. Like, actually put in the effort to show that the host that you give a crap
yeah, yeah,
and why you
exactly.
should be on the show. Like, why are you relevant?
Mm.
Like, don't say, like, I'll talk about pharmaceuticals when it's a show about dogs. Not relevant.
That's not relevant. Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
relevant. Great stuff. And then yeah, reach out. And then again, as we discussed before, 99 there's a 99% chance that you get
At least
rejected, but
with
there's a
me.
good,
Yeah.
yeah, but there's a good 1% chance that you will be accepted, which is anyways the kind of ratios we expect in any kind of marketing
Yeah.
drills right now
Outreach
in
is
the
tough.
outside. Yeah.
And it's very soul crushing until you
Mm,
get into a flow. Once you get into a flow and you say, every Friday I'm going to do 10 of these,
yeah.
you'll get into a flow, and the rejections won't be that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Great stuff. So let's talk about your journey, your podcast mastering course. Then, could you share a compelling story about somebody who joined this mastery course classes with you, and then they, sort of started with you, but then they achieved their subjective,
They graduated.
yeah, and then they started their podcast, they became successful, and it's sort of like a success story.
Yeah. Well, one of my first clients was my journalism professor from Delaware, Ben Yagoda, and
Mm-hmm.
he's written and he has a built-in audience a little bit, but he wanted to start a podcast, kind of about where these like B-level celebrities are, where are they now, kind of thing,
Mm,
the lives that they've lived, and so we worked together for about a few, like 2 or 3 months to get him started. He's on episode like 50 or 60 episodes right now.
mm,
Kind of like, this is who this person is. He was going to try and do something for Pushkin Media and pitch it to a big network. And they decided
mm,
he's going to do it himself, but he needs some help working on it and
mm.
producing it and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I came in and I helped him. And he's off to the races now. He's doing a great job.
Good, good. And
Yeah.
do you think in the journey, do you also not just about recording and releasing your podcast, but also editing is an important element, or is it not, in your opinion?
It is to an extent. I
Mm,
mean, if there's a big gaffe, a big mistake in the middle, take it out. Don't
mm,
edit all the ums and ahs out because it's not going to sound natural.
mm,
Don't, over edit. Like Entrepreneur's Enigma, it takes me 2 minutes to edit. It takes me 2 minutes to edit a minute of podcasting
mm,
because I'll go through it real fast in Descript, which is kind of it's an AI tool that will transcribe it. And you can edit it as almost a Word file,
mm,
processing file. and I'll find some icky spots. I'll make notes after the podcast if there's anything I need to go look for. Generally, you know, I can get a podcast turned around, like a 20, 30-minute podcast turned around in like 15 minutes because I have it down to a system.
Got it.
That's a
That's
good time.
interesting.
Yeah.
And there's, if you have to give one tip to the guests going on different podcast show, what would be that?
Do your research. Know what I would never ask, and I never give the questions ahead of time. Ever. Journalism rule number 101. Never give the questions ahead of time. I also tell them right off the bat, I'm not Diane Sawyer, I'm not Barbara Walters. You know, I'm not gonna, you know, grill them and try to make them cry kind of thing either. But do your research, because I mean, Entrepreneurs Enigma has the same 3 questions every single episode.
Yeah. So
if you want to know the questions, you want to kind of prep a little bit and know what's coming. Listen to the show.
Yeah.
Totally exactly.
Cool. That's really interesting. So I do this segment on our show with all of my guests. So let's do that. This is what we have discussed till now. I awesome. always reiterate it because I want to make sure that what we have discussed is covering every, girth and length and breadth. And then potentially if I miss something, you can let me know, like,
so that's what you've been doing this whole time. I love that.
Yeah. This is my note-taking exercise.
I love it, man.
Cool.
I love it.
So you started your journey early in the ages where, you in your school, you started your own newspaper. People already knew that you were going to be the next, journalist somewhere in some big news giants. In university, while you were in university, you had this enthusiasm around being a reporter. That's what you did. After that, you became a reporter. And around 2008, correct me if I'm wrong, you found out that, it's not working out for you. You didn't like it.
It wasn't my cup of tea. Exactly.
Yeah. And then you started a side hustle, started web designing for people who, wanted your services. But along the side, you also learned that podcasting is something which is growing. I mean, nobody was doing podcasting close to 2012-ish, I guess. Some people like yourself may be there, but very, very slow pace going on there. But you found out that it's a very good niche, and you just said podcasting, let's do it. And then you started doing that. A couple of things you mentioned was a triggering point for you was burnout, not liking the corporate world, and you wanted to help people. So these are the 3 things you decided to do it.
Love it.
And one thing I really like is when I mentioned that you get a genie's wish, you want to do is doing some business classes and some marketing classes. This is one of the things which I would definitely recommend to each and every founder that you must learn it, either from YouTube, either from online sources.
Or even from YouTube. You can do YouTube at YouTube University very easily now. So.
Yeah, but you have to do it. This is like mandatory. It's like must. And if you don't learn these things, then it's going to bite you in future, looking hindsight. And then you explain about how both sides of podcasting actually work. It's the different stages of the funnel. From the host side of things, what you have to do is you have to first understand what niche you want to do your podcast in. You have to understand if you want to do it by yourself, you want to do it with a co-host, or you want to invite guests on the show. That all defines the blueprint for your podcast.
This is awesome, man. Yeah.
And then the next step is you have to plan. You have to understand, do you want to do it every week? Do you want to do it bi-weekly? How much time you have to invest into that? How much effort you have to put into get a guest on your show if it is applicable to you? And then the semifinal stage, which is you have to do the recording. You
got to record the damn thing. Absolutely. You got to do it.
You can do it on the phone. You can do it on Zoom, but you have to do it. There are plenty of tools available online which you can use, but you have to do it. And last but not least, it's not a full-time. I mean, there are some people who bring a lot of audience from their previous profession, but it's very hard to become a successful revenue generation machine with the help of podcasting itself alone. You
Yeah,
have to have
you do other
multiple
things.
other things around it. But yes, you could go to get on the network, get some sponsorship, and treat it as a side hustle. That would be much more beneficial for you. And the
Profitable.
other side of the podcasting, you mentioned that you have, if you're guesting, you're being guests on the podcast, make sure you understand why you would be a great guest for any particular show. For example, if you want to
Mhm.
go on Joe Rogan show, why should Joe Rogan interview? Why should,
Yeah,
what do
why should
you,
he care?
why
Exactly.
should you care? What is the problem you're solving for his
Yeah.
listeners? And you should listen to the show. You should do
Hmm.
your research. You understand what kind of people this particular podcast interviewing, and then again reach out to them, because obviously outbound marketing, you have 99% chance that you will be rejected, but there's a good 1% chance you would be accepted, and you can do it.
Amen. It's all about the reps.
It's all about the rest. Great stuff. So I think that's pretty much it, what we discussed. Is there anything you think we missed or you want to
No, I
add?
love this diagram. This is awesome, man. This is
Yeah.
great.
Great. Cool. Great stuff. So let's get back to our first segment then. So I have another part in the interview where I asked random 6 questions to my
Ooh.
guests. It's called lightning round. You don't have to answer all of them, but if you think there is something which you really want to answer, take
Yeah,
it.
let's do
If you
it.
think skip it, don't want, no problem with it. Okay, you ready?
Yes, let's rock and roll.
Cool. What's the top 3 strategies in 2025 for a founder to bring traction to their startup or business with the help of podcast?
Ooh, get on podcasts.
Yeah.
That's get on podcasts, start a podcast. And there's really only two. Get on a
Mm,
podcast, start a podcast, and then also promote the podcast when you're done, either your show or someone else's show. Share that show out. Don't just hold
mm.
on to it. Like share it. So,
Share it as much as possible, right?
yeah.
Great stuff. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Ooh, what book? Only one book. That's a good one. Get Different, which is back there. If you're watching the video, Get Different, right over there, by Mike Mikowski, something or other. He really gets into the whole mindset of thinking outside the box, which I really like. That's when I would definitely do that. Or there's another one, Never Split the Difference, which is by a former FBI negotiator who,
Oh, that must be
yeah,
interesting.
Chris Voss. And that was a good one. That's a good one. I've read that book 3 times already. I'm still learning.
Oh, cool. I recently finished The Psychology of Money.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Hansel, yeah. I'm now on the Titans, so hopefully I'll add this one, Get Different in my
That's a
list.
big book. The Titans is a big book.
Yeah, Titans is a very big book. So
It's a Bible.
yeah,
Huge.
yeah, it's slow, but it's cool. Great. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Just being driven,
Hmm.
just doing it. Just
Doing
get
the
started.
things.
Just get
Yeah.
started. Try it. What's the worst happens? You fail. You try something different.
Yeah. That's cool. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
Oh, it's my Remarkable tablet. Every morning I sit down with my Remarkable. It's an ink tablet and write out my to-do list. Even though it's in my Google Calendar, I rewrite it every single day. So I can refer to it and not have to be at the computer. I love it. Keeps me centered.
Yeah. I have an app on my phone, so that reminds me of my next day's schedule every day. In the just before I sleep, I put a reminder there.
Enough to dream about it. Exactly.
Yeah, and then next morning you just have it there. It's all across all the windows, so it's available. Great. What's a crazy or new business idea or business you want to do if you had time or money?
Well, right now, the one that is Podcast Mastery, it's only been about a year now. I've been doing it, and that was crazy. I forgot what it was like to start a business again. It's tough.
It's tough. It's very, very tough. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Cool. And what's an interesting or fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Ooh, I'm pretty much an open book, so a lot of people know a lot about me. I mean, you look at AI, I'm all in there, all that stuff. It's that I actually like to read books. I mean, people don't realize because I'm constantly online, but I love to read. It's just
Hmm.
the problem is on the flip side is finding time to read. A lot of
Hmm.
people don't know that I'm a big reader.
Cool. Cool. That's nice. So I think that's pretty much it. I just had 6 questions. Well,
There you go.
um, is there anything at the end you would like to say to our listeners? Just
Just
light
keep
of
going.
wisdom.
Head down, go through those walls like a rhinoceros. Just keep going through every barrier. You get stronger with every rep.
Indeed, indeed. Well, Seth, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking the last years and years of building
I
not just your
like it.
life, but the business
Yeah.
and some ups and downs. If people want to get in touch with you, people want to learn more about podcast mastery, what's the best way to do it?
Well, they can simple as go to social.sethgoldstein.me,
Mhm.
and that's where all my links are there. It's like my link tree of sorts. But you can also
Mm.
go to podcastmastery.coach. You can go to goldsteinmedia.com. I'm out there. So, but social.sethgoldstein.me is where all those links are there. So I keep adding to it because I keep it doing stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. And well, Seth, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing by helping others with podcasts. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
It's been a pleasure being on. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.